Okay, so I am so proud of my turtles right now. So they have been eating their greens all by themselves. So I dropped in here 2 whole leaves of lettuce. So that was yesterday, and then today I woke up to this. How cute is this? Oh, there's one right there. Hey, cutie pie, are you eating your lettuce? And there's my gosh over there. This guy over here, not so much. He still has like the whole leaf right here. He's been kind of pecking at it, but not really eating anything. So, bad boy. You need to eat your greens, okay? There you go. Yummy. Eat it.
Eat it.
Come on, big bite.
Eat it.
Eat it. Okay, this is not gonna happen. Little Miss Penelope over here. Where's your lettuce? Oh, you actually have been eating your lettuce. So here is her lettuce that I dropped in. And yeah, she's been eating it. Good job, baby girl. Good job, Penelope. You've been eating your greens. I'm so proud of you. Oh Lord. So yeah, I just wanted to really quick show off my very well behaved turtles that are eating their greens, and I'm so proud of them. Hey everybody, I'm back with a new video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys another way that I get my box turtle to eat veggies, which is actually not an easy thing to do, by the way. If you are a box turtle owner, you know they struggle, okay? You understand they struggle. You are living the struggle. Okay, enough clowning around. So, something I've gotten asked over and over by you guys is why. More specifically, I've been asked things like, hey, aren't tortoises supposed to be born liking vegetation and fruits? Or why are you feeding your tortoise bugs and meat and chicken? Aren't they supposed to be eating like grass and stuff? And you know what? I understand. I really do. And I mean, I've had these same questions myself at some point in my life. So I'm not mad. Instead, I'm just gonna give you guys like really basic diet information on box turtles. And they're a little bit complicated because they're not necessarily tortoises, but they're not necessarily turtles. Box turtles are turtles of the genus Terrapene. They are terrestrial members of the American pond turtle family and not members of the tortoise family. Okay, let me explain that in a way that SpongeBob and Patrick would understand. Basically, they are more terrestrial than pond turtles, but less terrestrial than tortoises. They are more terrestrial than pond turtles in the way that they don't have webbed feet, they don't live in water, and they can be without water for a long time, and they can actually store water. Unlike turtles, their bodies do produce saliva, which allows them to eat on land, and they migrate depending on the season. So they are less terrestrial than tortoises in the way that they do require a high humidity level, and they love to soak but they can't necessarily swim. They will drown if they are in really deep water and they get tired. In the wild, they are often seen in the shallow parts of ponds and in puddles and just shallow water. They can also eat in water, and they've actually been known to hunt fish and stuff. They're not very effective like sliders are, they're not very fast and they're not excellent swimmers, but they do eat in water sometimes. They don't necessarily have tortoise type feet. They are pretty much a mix of both turtles and tortoises. Like, they're not one or the other specifically. They're pretty much right in the middle. But then again, this doesn't apply to all box turtles. There's lots and lots of species of box turtles within box turtles. My little one is a three-toed box turtle. If you have a more desert type box turtle, then it's different for you. Three-toed box turtles are found in grasslands and forest areas. They are omnivores. In the wild, their diet pretty much depends on what's available in that specific season. But they're known for eating earthworms, insects, snails, slugs, strawberries, mushrooms, green-leafed vegetation, and on rare occasions they have been spotted eating quail eggs. But you should know that most box turtles, if not all, will prefer live foods over vegetation. And this is where it gets tricky for box turtle owners. In captivity, they are often fed things like mealworms, superworms, waxworms, earthworms, any type of worm really, crickets, even small dubia roaches, slugs, snails. That's more of what they're fed as a staple type of food. They also love cooked chicken, meat, and moist dog food or like canned dog food, but you shouldn't really feed those too often. It's more of like a junk food type treat type thing. So yeah, feeder bugs are their staple food in captivity. And to top that off, most box turtles in the wild and in captivity are hesitant to eat dead bugs and will prefer to hunt live ones, which is why I actually decided to breed my own mealworms. And it's really nice because I always have live food available for my box turtle. But most pet stores do sell live feeders, except sometimes they do run out and sometimes they're not very cheap, and it's not very practical if you are having to buy them all the time. But to each their own. So they usually do take fruits without much of a problem, but they're not very good to feed all the time because they contain a lot of sugar and stuff. It's really more of a treat. The real struggle comes in getting them to eat vegetables. Some turtles are an exception and they are just very lovable and they will eat anything that you put in front of them, and that is great. If you have one of those, you are a lucky bastard. But unfortunately, most box turtles aren't like that, and they won't have any vegetables unless you starve them for a couple days or you trick them into eating vegetables. See, me as a owner, it's a lot easier for me to just let it eat just the live feeders. And I mean, that wouldn't be terrible, but it's not healthy, My little one would probably not get a very balanced diet. After all, they are omnivores. They are more on the carnivorous side, but they do need vitamins and fiber and nutrients from vegetation, and you really should have a balanced diet. You need to provide bugs, you need to provide vegetation, and a small percentage of fruits. Variation is key. Providing the right diet and the right environment will ensure that your box turtle is with you many, many years. So I showed you guys already in my how to get your box turtle to eat veggies video, how I introduced vegetables to my baby box turtle. A little backstory on that. So when I brought my box turtle home, I understood that it was stressed out from the change. After like about a week or so of it not eating, I was worried, and I was providing like vegetables and stuff, and it wanted nothing to do with them. I ended up going to the pet store and bought some mealworms, and that's the first thing that my box turtle ate here with me, and that is what started the whole mealworm breeding thing. And yeah, the problem was it wouldn't eat anything other than mealworms. And what I did on that video is kind of show you guys how I tricked my little one into eating vegetables. See, that's a great way to get them introduced to vegetables, but after doing that for a while, I discovered a more, I wouldn't say practical, but a more ideal way to get my box turtle to eat vegetables. So I've been doing this now. Basically, it is the grossest salad that you have probably ever seen in your life. And it doesn't look very appetizing at all, but your box turtle will go crazy over it. So what I do is I take lettuce, this is just romaine lettuce, and I murder it, okay? I chop it up into super tiny, fragilistic, sexpialidocious pieces. I just made a new word up. But yeah, just chop it up into really tiny pieces. The smaller the better, because then your turtle won't be able to spit it out, and if the pieces aren't small enough, then your turtle will just spit it out. So then, because I breed my own mealworms, I have mealworms of all sizes. I have really tiny mealworms that the camera doesn't even pick up, and I have huge mealworms that are about to pupate and turn into beetles. So for this, you can just take normal sized worms or earthworms, but you're gonna have to chop them up into really small pieces. I'm sorry if you're not okay with that. As an alternative, I would say you could do this with like pulled apart boiled chicken, but it's not very good for your box turtle to eat boiled chicken all the time. I would really, really highly suggest you do this with some type of feeder bug. I'm using these really tiny mealworms because that way they kind of just hide in the lettuce paste type stuff, and basically what will happen is little one will take a big bite and it will get a small mealworm in that one bite, and also a whole lot of that lettuce. And because lettuce is chopped so tiny, it just will have no other alternative than to swallow. And yeah, that's basically how this works. I've been using this method now instead of my old method, and I like it. It's very effective, and the only problem is that once the worms start to run out, there's a lot of leftover lettuce in there, but you can just keep adding worms and it starts all over again. After that really big meal, I went ahead and soaked little one in some water just to rehydrate him a bit, and yeah, it is loving the soak. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that you guys learned something. I hope it was helpful, and if you have any more questions, definitely let me know in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Have a good day or a good night, and I love you guys. Bye.
First things first, I have the mealworm in one hand and the piece of apple in the other hand. So as you can see, it responds pretty well to the sight of a wiggly worm. So right there, right when it opens its mouth, I trick her with the piece of vegetable and
Not muddy. Muddy, its nickname, but yeah, since it still doesn't have a name yet, I call it Muddy. And here is Muddy. Look at how big it is, like, you guys. I remember when I first brought it home, it was like so tiny. Here is how big Penelope is. And like I've told you guys in the past, she hates being handled, like she hates it. So I try not to handle her very much. She's just not cuddly.